Okay, well, I'm not sure, but it looks like there's only like 6 of us right now. So this is going to be a good day to get your private questions answered. So hopefully you guys come with lots of ideas, and everybody got my email describing kind of what I wanted to go over in the class today. I'd like to spend a little bit of time going and looking at the work that you guys submitted to the Facebook page. Thank you. And if you haven't, please sign up. It looks like there's 2 students that have still not signed up to that. And then I was thinking, you know what, it's probably time I take a step back and show you a little bit about how I really begin a painting, not just, start the actual image, but build up the canvas a little bit. I know I've got a lot of questions about that. And then another question I get all the time is to tone or not to tone the canvas, right? Is it better to paint on a white surface or a colored surface? So let's attack that today and talk about the whys and whens. I don't think it's an either or. A lot of artists, do definitely work either or, always on a white surface or always on a tone surface. I do not. I definitely paint or prep my surface accordingly to what I think is going to be the best for the image. That helps me to kind of do some of the preliminary planning, thinking it out a little bit. But if you know me, I'm not as good about planning and all that as I should be. A lot of times I paint myself into a bit of a corner and then get the thrill of painting myself out of said corner. That big tree painting back there is an example of that. That's one where I really wish I would have done a little more planning, but I'm having fun bringing it back. It's going to be very cool, especially compared to that fall scene that's right beside it there. And another one that I'm working on back there is anyways, so let's go ahead and do share screen, shut down Manuka. Anyways, for you, those of you who are curious, MENUCHA, and they will have updates about the class. And there, I just posted the link onto the Facebook page. And let's do share screen and head over there. All right, well, it's busy posting. There we go. Everybody's seeing the Facebook page there, our winter 2022.
Yes.
All right, so we have 14. So I think we're still missing 1, maybe 2. I don't actually know how many students I have. I think it's 15. So maybe only 1 person is not quite signed up. Oh, plus me. So yeah, maybe 2. There, I just put the link to Manuka if you want to check that out on your own time. And I just really quickly wanted to go over your guys's amazing starts. In most of your case, it looks like I got a lot of it's not finished. That is completely fine. What I like to do in the critique, or I hate the word critique, in the let's look at it, give some feedback, and I love to kind of understand what it is that you are doing. So first off, let's all look at Soli's amazing photograph and be completely jealous, because that is where I believe she is spending her winter. Is that Soli? Are you on here? I know she has a tough time joining us live. She does a lot of the video. Okay, Soli is not here, but that looks like a dream to me. I just love that kind of setting. It reminds me of Italy, even though that's down in Mexico, just all those nice tall trees. And then she's starting a painting based on that. It's always interesting to try to paint from a close-up photo. You get these interesting distortions that we completely accept in the photo, where things that are close, and then there's some bending of things and perspective. So oftentimes in photos, I have to do some correcting. Anyways, let's go through and look. What I love about what's going on here is, one right off is that she's, painting a beautiful place that will be a great memory at some point. And hopefully be able to kind of observe it and paint a little bit from nature, if that's really where Sully's staying. what I often will do when I'm looking at a photo is look for tangents first off. Like if, so you have this pink flower here lines up perfectly with this row, this pink flower lines up. I might like pull the flower up so it's not just lining up. Nothing ends exactly where something else begins. A lot of times like a bubbly cloud will bump right up against a tree and it looks like they're influencing each other. Oftentimes in photos, you'll have like where the tree, hits right against the top. This is nice because it actually cuts the space and goes up and off the scene. When I look at this painting, I'm a little bit, part of me wants to see more of this view. And again, since Sully's not on here, we can't ask and find out, is this deck, is this porch or veranda, whatever the term they use where she's living, really important, because this painting is more about that. This background scene is very much in the supporting role of this. And that can be really nice. Like, so I could say, what, I have my morning coffee out here in this chair and it's just so nice. And I just want to remember this veranda. Otherwise, what I would do is probably crop the bottom off here. I don't think it's as important. I may even crop it way up and even move this pot so that it's sitting on the veranda itself, and we don't need it floating here on the edge, except for she may be bringing in these pretty flowers and everything else. So, oops, sorry, thought I had that muted. There we go. Sorry about that. So those would be my kind of quick, kind of like, please think about these things and answer. Another thing is the hand, the armrests of this chair line up almost completely with this back railing. So that line of the top of the railing basically follows the chair, a little bit of a overlap there, but I may want to push that. And this table ends right there, but that's more realistic. Less, that bothers me less, but I may even bring that down a little bit. So we see a little bit of this terracotta color right at the top of that flat space. I did mention in the photo too, that this tree actually intersects the space. I would let that happen. I think that will add to interest and not have everything be the same there. You know what I mean? So it just changes that.
Michael, do you mean continue the tree off the canvas?
Correct. Yeah, just like it does in the photo. I actually like that it goes up off the scene. I don't know. It feels chopped for one. I don't know, why they cut the tree right there. And again, this is in progress. Sully, says that in her comments. So I'll be curious where this goes, but those are some things I might think about going forward. If it were me, I would probably start the painting closer to the base of this chair, maybe at the base of this table. I may even get rid of this table and just bring my scene something like this or something like this, so that it becomes more about the view. The chair is in it because that's, something that's useful. Yeah, good job, Jill. If you see what Jill's doing with her hands, they're framing it off. Let's just go ahead and do a quick save image, save it to color class. Where's color class? Student work. All right, I'm gonna save it there, and let's, do you guys see Photoshop now, or are you still seeing the Facebook?
Photoshop.
Nope, it's Photoshop.
Great. So I'm gonna go all the way back, and I'm just gonna pull that up and drop it in Photoshop. Bang. Let's get these off there so they're not as. So this is gonna be probably the painting I work from today. This will be the painting I work from this afternoon. But in the meanwhile, solely. Let's see what happens if I edit, edit out some information. So I'm always kind of looking like, do I need all of this space over here? And maybe, I don't know, but I'm gonna do a quick. Right, it becomes a little more intimate already, just by kind of zooming in that. The table I don't think was necessary. But I do like this hillside up here. I do like that change in altitude of that. So that part's a little interesting. I don't know. But anyways, things that I think about, these are always experiments I'm doing. Whenever I pull up a photo, I'm constantly going, what if it was a square format? Instead, would that be nice? Controls the, what if it, if it's all about this beautiful view? Sorry, it keeps wanting to grab the ruler. What if it was just about this beautiful horizontal view and it became a panoramic view, a 2x4 kind of format? Nope, that doesn't work. That just splits it and looks awkward. Unless maybe I moved it up. Do we need the bottom of the chair? Probably. Feels weird when you kind of have. But anyways, I'm constantly experimenting. That's something I'll do with Photoshop, or I'll print it up and just keep folding it and folding it and folding it. Or doing, oftentimes I'll cut 2 L-shaped pieces of paper and you can move those in and out to each other and you can create crops that way. Let's see what this looks like just real quick. That's feeling a little bit better, but I don't know if having the legs cut off. And a lot of times we cut legs off of things, just like in a photograph, if you've seen photos where the person's legs get cut right at the knees or something, it can feel really awkward. So I'm constantly trying to think about that. Let's see.
What if you put the chair where the table is?
Yeah, exactly. Something like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, totally. And that would be, a little more time than I'm doing right now with Photoshop. But even something like that, now we kind of got an imbalance. I would be careful because this tree is now fairly right in the middle. So I probably want to move it one way or the other. So every time you crop it, you get different issues to be aware of, but oops, not that one. All right, so now we're back at Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So there we go for solely. Just some ideas to think about as moving forward, and that you guys can all think about a little bit here. Michelle, I see you there. How you doing? Go ahead and unmute yourself, Michelle. Let's begin the interrogation, shall we?
Okay.
Just kidding. So is this your reference, the bottom one?
Yes, the bottom right.
Okay. Yeah, that green is disruptive, isn't it? Says like the blue reddish contrast. I always love gray and earthy reds. It's one of my favorite combinations. I just love that. Yeah, I'd like to play that up more in my paintings. So yeah, right on. And yeah, that green, I understand, the grass is still a little bit live. This is definitely fall and a little bit of life under there. But yeah, I find that disruptive and it draws my eye to this odd spot, right? In a line right beside the site. If there was little bits of green in here,
right,
it'd probably be ugly, but at least it would make sense as far as drawing the eye. These are all things we kind of talk about in design and all that. But good job. Yes, correct. I agree. So there's your, I know you had 2. So are you doing it twice, or is this?
That was just my initial scrub in, and I love the vagueness of the trees, but then this is my struggle, is when I go back in to add more paint and stuff, it gets lost and then it becomes too tidy and too perfect. It's not done. I'm still working on it, but I had to stop because the colors kept blending. And so the trouble I have is like trying to trying to reinvade color of the sky into the tree, and then brush the tree back out into the sky.
Yeah,
And that's the trouble I have there.
tricky.
With wet paint, right?
Yes, yes.
The wet and wet. It's just like everything in painting, there is a plus and a minus to all of it. There's a plus and a minus to letting it completely dry and painting on top, but there's some effects you just can't get when you do it like that. But there's other effects that you can't get painting wet into wet that you can get in dry, like scumbling, letting, the paint just capture just the top edges of paint that's already there, but not blending down. But what I'm going to suggest here, and this is a great opportunity to practice some of these things, is when painting wet into wet, this is where you really, I'm going to change view over here so we can see my delicate hands. So that's really where, let's pretend this pencil is my paintbrush, right? And so if you're painting like this, right, and I haven't even talked about that in this class, you guys are probably one of the first classes in a long time where I didn't say, how do we hold a paintbrush, right? That's one of my quizzes for new students is, how do we hold a paintbrush, right? And Michelle, tell me, are you holding your paintbrush like this a lot of the time?
Probably. I do try. I probably wasn't even conscious this time of how I held it. I think when I was painting that first sketch, it was with my son. We were each doing a painting together and it was so much fun. And I think then I remember consciously holding it different ways and getting those different random, airiness of it.
Cool. Here's a little reminder. If you can kind of tell yourself, I am a conductor. Okay. So when painting, there's times to hold the brush like this, like like maybe we hold a pencil, but it's not often. I hold it like this when I'm doing my signature. There are certain marks that are easier to make like this, but the truth is, if you can kind of think like a conductor, right? This is a much more liberating way to hold your brush. And what it will do is you'll start, imagine the screen is the paint surface, right? And I'm covering you guys all up here. So I've changed when you paint like this, you're perpendicular to the surface almost all the time. It's not very often that you're holding your hand sideways because it just feels weird. It's very awkward. But the truth is, with painting, most of the times our brush is not perpendicular to the surface. It is horizontal, I guess would be a good way to say it. It is kind of along the side of the painting. And what this allows for is a quick and automatic changing of pressure. So if you want to scrub in, you just turn your wrist and it's really nice and get in there and smash those bristles against there and you get that sound, right? That scrubbing noise. And all of a sudden you just flip your wrist a little bit and you're painting nice and soft and you're just feathering the paint, right? And you're a much more soft feeling to the paint, right? And the cool thing is within one single brush stroke, I can load the brush, I can hit the canvas, turn my wrist, and as I'm pulling away, like let's just say I want a cloud that starts pretty extreme and then gets softer and softer and softer. And then I'm lifting and I'm barely even touching. There's oftentimes too where my brush, the bristles themselves don't touch the canvas. It is the paint. I'm just letting that paint skim across the canvas, right? So when painting wet into wet, you'll see, and I'll probably even do it today, where I'll kind of paint close to each other, but not all the way up to each other. And so let's say it's the painting I'm going to do today and that is going to have this sky bumping up against these trees. So I may leave a bit of a line there, or I may put an in-between color like a red or whatever that I'm not so concerned with. And I will paint the sky down into these trees. And then with a clean brush, I will I'll just take the paint that's already there for a little bit and bring that paint and just up into the sky just however much I want. And I'm not going to dab and dab and dab because you're going to get mud. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to drag it. And it's because I have this light pressure, it hopefully will take from the trees and skim up over the paint into the sky without, it's going to sit on top of that paint. So I may push a little harder into the trees, pick up a little bit of that paint, and it's just going to be a little bit, right? I don't want to drag, and I won't have enough paint there probably to drag a lot. Josh Clare, do you guys know his work at all? If you want to see some just beautiful edge work and painting, I can't even do what he does. I haven't really tried, but I am a big fan of his work. Every time I see it, you can just tell it's his. And he's a great painter in a lot of ways, but boy, his edge quality and his clouds are something special. And I believe it's Claire, but I'm not positive. Nice guy. I've met him a couple times. No, Are, I believe. Yeah, it's Josh and then Clare. Yeah, let's do a screen share and I will bring up what I'm talking about. See, this is so cool that I can share screen. All right. You see how he's dragging the paint up and then also he's dragging the paint down. He's creating these beautiful edges. So you can see here, he used the blue and pushed down into the white. And then up here, he used the white and pushed up into the blue, right? It's not an either or for him. And then so he gets these really, really, I mean, the clouds feel like clouds, don't they? And the mountains are nice and firm. And then this is just barely there. It's just kind of like, yep, there's a big field in the foreground, nice edges. But that's not what's important. Let's see if I can, where did I just send that one? Oh, this one. Where am I going? Where did it send me? There it is. Okay. Same thing.
Wow.
Look at the trees. He's doing that. And I know he learned from a Chinese artist who does waves. So he took this wave ocean painters ideas, brought them into other work. And yeah, I want to start to experiment with that. Thank you, Josh. That's what artists do, right? We all borrow and steal from each other. And if you feel self-conscious about looking at other artists' work and saying, you know what, I want to try to incorporate some of that into my work, but boy, I don't want to steal, I feel bad. How I think about painting and art in general is that we are standing in a creek, right? We're in the middle of a creek, and before us were hundreds and thousands of painters, and after us will hopefully be hundreds and thousands of painters. And we're taking the knowledge in the water or whatever it is that's coming down to us. And then hopefully the artists after us that will be inspired by us. But yeah, look at that. See, you could see that he did the background and then he took a little bit of the paint. Can you guys see those soft edges? Is that kind of what you're talking about, Michelle, that you'd like to be able to do a little more?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's a good reminder just of not initially keeping that little gap and then dealing with the edges later.
Yeah, a little bit. And so a lot of times my paintings, especially doing demos for you guys and for everybody else, I oftentimes feel a little self-conscious. I'm like, oh man, I'm just painting a poster, right? It's just these solid spots of color, or it's very splotchy. But it's a nice way to just kind of building up your painting. And yeah, his edges, his paintings, I mean, he's a great painter. His colors, his everything else, but boy, his edges are something special. So, you know, I have got a number of artists that I look to over and over and over. You know, maybe someday I'll share that list, but I kind of, you know, you find your favorite painters, whether it's Monet or Van Gogh or, you know, living painters or maybe old, you know, Rembrandts or whatever else. We all build up this catalog of artists that we like and we look to and we're inspired by. And I think how we develop our style is by each of us is going to have our own favorite artists out there. And you basically become an amalgamation. You're a stew of these painters, right? You're taking what you like, leaving what you don't like, and incorporating it into your style. Yeah, I mean, this is just wonderful. And that even looks kind of like the kind of stuff I do right there. So anyways, Fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. So that's something I'd love for it to see you work on is dragging across. I see you're using the stippling with the brushes a little bit. That can work fine. Don't become overly reliant on that. And I know you've seen me do that as well. But I would like to see you at this stage, maybe pushing your brush strokes. And for that, I mean your pressure and the angle at which you're holding the brush. You are not a painter, you are a conductor. Okay,
Okay, will do.
cool. Thank you so much. Nice reference, I like that. And you guys, I very much suggest using references that are on the somewhat simpler side. This doesn't have 1,000 things going on and really, really complicated things. When we are painting, especially when we're doing practice exercises, I suggest erring on the side of choosing simpler subjects over really complex subjects. All right, who we looking at? Meredith.
Michael, this is Deb.
Hey, Deb.
I forgot to post what I accomplished so far.
Great. You just want me to describe it?
If I get out of the group and post it, will I be able to get back in, or will we be able to see it today, or should we just wait?
If you want to do it really, really quick, you're gonna.
Yeah, I could do it right now.
All right.
Well, I mean, give me a second, because should I do that or not? Should I just wait? Tell me.
You know what? I don't even think you have to shut down the screen. Just minimize this one, and that way you'll still hear us.
Okay. All right.
Meredith, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, thank you. So I didn't read your little note here. Oh, I did read it earlier this morning. Trouble with this. Oh, you're the one that did like 27 paintings and drawings leading up to this. Okay.
Well, 4.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. I had a really wonderful talk with a fellow artist this week. I'd never spoke with her, but we show in a gallery together and everything. And she was telling me about all the preliminary work that she does for each painting. And boy, can you see it in her work. Really beautiful work. And that was a reminder to me of like, man, it never hurts to do more sketching, more designing, more experimenting before you hit the surface. Like I said at the beginning of class, I often paint myself into corners because I'm just so excited and dragging my enthusiasm along, or my enthusiasm's dragging me along. And then I realize I don't have a plan. So anyways, good on you for doing that. And whatever it takes to feel a little more comfortable moving forward. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my God, this just fills my heart. This is the view I had in Italy in an old farmhouse along the side of a beautiful villa. I went out there with a number of other painters and stayed a week. And truly the villa was up on this hill right below. We can't see her groves of olive trees. And this just fills me up because that was some of my most favorite mornings, right? And nobody else woke up in the morning. It was just me and the owner. And, I'd have coffee and he'd start smoking his 100 cigarettes. And, it was so just beautiful. Down there is, I'm not remembering the name of the town. But anyways, one of the oldest gated walled cities, I believe, in the world that's still remaining, is down in that valley. But anyways, yeah, even that took time lapse. I would have like my iPad and my camera and I'd be taking time lapse, and the sun would kind of rise up behind this mountain and come across, and the clouds would roll in and clear out. And yeah, I've told myself 100 times I'm going to paint this. Maybe I'll paint it next week. I'll have to figure out an exercise of why I get to paint this. But yeah, beautiful reference. And here it looks like a watercolor. Are you the watercolorist?
Yeah, it's watercolor.
And are you going to be doing all watercolor mostly?
Probably, because that's the paint I have, and the brushes and the paper. That's what I have.
Cool. All right. So let me ask really quickly, and I hate to take too much time, but what did you think of last week's lesson? Were you able to find it applicable to what you do?
Well, I was worried about that signing up for the course, and I've just figured I'm going to get what I can, which is why I chose something that I thought was really hard, because I love the way you do skies. And so I thought I'm going to do a sky that's challenging so I can learn something on how you do it. What did I get out of last week's lesson? It was, I guess I left feeling happy to be there, but scared too. Scared like I was over my head.
Good. If I'm not filling you with fear every class, I am not doing my job. So perfect. Great. Thank you for that. Just kidding. Yeah, no, and it's beautiful. I like what you've done here. And it's, it definitely, you're capturing a lot of that feeling and stuff. Are you painting all transparent or do you have any opaque color in here?
For this week, I barely got to 3 colors. I really was afraid to do anything. So yeah, no opaque here, because I was just trying to, figure out how to work actually.
Cool.
I
I
can try opaque next.
remember to do one of my little gouache. It's watercolor, but I use white gouache.
Okay.
And that allows me to go back in and really make some areas a little more glowy. Yeah, so my watercolors that I do, they're all little. I don't think I've ever painted one that's bigger than 6 inches yet because I'm scared. In fact, I only picked up watercolor and gouache this last year, 2021, because I've always been scared of it. But yeah, again, I saw a buddy of mine, Scott Galatly, another teacher at Oregon Society of Artists. And if anybody's gotten to see his little books of studies that he does with gouache and watercolor, they're gorgeous. And so again, stealing from my friends, stealing from artists, I went and bought a book and started experimenting. And all they did was buy the primary watercolors out of the tube, not out of the pan, and a white gouache. And I've had a lot of fun because I can mix those watercolors with the gouache to color the gouache. Or I can, like, let's say an area that I really want to glow. Let's say like these clouds, you're like, you know what? These are so nice, but I sure would like some of this rim light.
Yes.
I would simply just drag some white gouache back across there. Okay. And then after that dries in like 10 minutes, right? It dries so fast. I might take a little tiny bit of the yellow into it and it'll be that much brighter and that much glowier if I wanted it. Or I can mix that yellow with the white gouache and create that illusion as well. So again, if you're not a purist, if you're not entering painting watercolor competitions and stuff where they say only, transparent color, maybe experiment with a tube of white gouache added.
I do have some, I just don't know really how to use it. So yeah, I'll try this week. I'll work on it.
What I would suggest you do to start is go ahead and and just start small. You guys give me 1 minute and I'll go grab my little gouache book here. Just so I can show you what I can do.
I started out in watercolor and I think you could have used a little bit of wet in some of those areas because the photograph, the clouds are kind of soft edge.
Okay, I started off with some wet in wet, and that's where the heaviest dark clouds is what I tried to do there was get that in quick before the yellow underwash dried because I wanted it to spread out a little bit to give it a soft edge.
I apologize, it's downstairs hiding somewhere because I was painting down there. So wherever my wife cleaned up and put it, I'm not going to go bother her and spend the time looking for it. But what I would suggest is go ahead and put even whatever color. A little wash, let that dry, and then use the gouache as a negative. So go back in and create your negative shapes a little bit. So let's say you put the whole thing a gray tone across the whole thing. Then I would like you to go and do the negatives or the brightest brights areas in the gouache.
Can we see her painting again, Michael?
Sure. It's very photographic. There it is. All right, here we are. So if I did this, I would paint the whole thing kind of a gray tone. And then I would take my white gouache, come in and take these areas that I want it much lighter through here, maybe down into here. Maybe, and then that's just the experiment to see how well gouache really covers watercolors almost completely. And that would be just an experiment, because then you can go back in and do watercolor right across the top of that. And in that, try just doing quick experiments of adding a little bit of the color to your white gouache and coloring that up, and just have fun. I'm not expecting anything. It's just a little experiment. This painting, I probably wouldn't do that way. Maybe more kind of like Michelle did with the tree would be a great one. So you have this kind of, imagine this all kind of one tone, and then take your white gouache and do the negative shapes, right? So the sky, and then go back in and color over the top of it with your colors again. And just see, just in a little bit of an experiment. That's how I'm doing. I'm layering my watercolors. I'm layering the gouache. I'm coming back in and bringing out areas, because a lot of time I'm finding that because they're so transparent, because they're so transparent, my colors are getting dark, because I'm so used to layering, right, with oil paints, and they're just creating a dark mess. So I just kind of go back in, and it's like using whiteout.
Did you say there was a book that, if you could give me the name, I'll find it myself?
What was the question?
The book you were going to go look for.
Oh, it was my book.
Oh, okay.
My little sketchbook. Yeah, you can find that on Amazon, I'm sure. No, just kidding. It's yeah, and anyways, I think this is really nice. If I didn't see this, I would say that this is a beautiful painting unto itself. I think that you should be very happy with what you've got going on here. This little yellow spot down here is a little bit disconcerting to me. I'm not exactly sure.
Well, by then I was racing. It was dark outside, and I'm just saying, I'm just going to lighten that up a little bit to make it the end of the beam of light. But this whole picture is not really like the reference, because that's now that pink on the left foreground was because I thought the mountains were just so black that I wanted to break them up a little bit over there. So I kind of manipulated things a little. There's no path there, really. I just put that in.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Again, just use the photo reference as a jumping off point is always
So
my.
that's what the little spot of yellow was, but it probably in the daylight, I probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, because it's nearly as light as up here.
Yeah.
Feels like there's a pile of gold down there. The other thing really quickly, and this is what I talked about earlier in Soli's painting, is just watch your tangents. This cloud lines up perfectly with the top of the mountain. I would either take it up or down. Probably will just make it a little more interesting. But that's nitpicking here or there. Very nice. I'm glad you're in the class. I hope that you keep pushing me as a teacher and asking good questions. And that will be my first advice: is let's incorporate white gouache
Okay.
into your painting, and let's just see where that takes you a little bit. Great.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right, Jill, are you on here, Jill? There you are.
There I am.
All right, good to see you. So you guys, I went online before the class started and found a couple websites where there's just free references to use. And I can share some of those links, but otherwise what I did was just free photo references to paint from, just Googled that. Some of them try to make you sign up for things, and I didn't mess with any of that. But this is one that I grabbed from that. And the painting that I was showing you that I might paint today was also one of those, which is funny because it's a lot like a lot of photos that I had, but I just, as a shortcut, grabbed it. So anyways, this is from that. And this is truly like a lot of my photos, maybe just a little more professionally taken, not from an iPhone like I do all my photos. But anyways, just want to share that. Nice, good reference. All right. And it looks like you've got the big and elements for sure. My first question would be, where is your light source in this painting? And I would say it's probably right back in here, right? And it's backlit coming towards us. In your painting, where is the light source?
It's kind of in front of the tree on the ground,
Yeah, a
And
little
you
bit.
can't really tell on the tree.
Yeah, and this feels like a cast, well, for some reason, a very small cast shadow under the tree. It almost feels like the light's coming here, you know, from around the sides, and it's making a little cast shadow under there. When I look at this, the thing that I like the most about it, and I should ask you first, why did you pick this?
I liked the atmosphere and the colors.
Great. And when I come over here, you do have some of the atmosphere, but you've lost a lot of the pretty colors, right? These nice warm pinks and stuff. And this painting is a lot about that kind of thing I really like to capture in my paintings, that kind of glow around the edges of things. I just love that so much.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a problem. It's not like it's too late. You get to put that back in. And the way that you can do it fairly easily is once it's dry, you're going to take a little bit of maybe your quinacridone red or something. You could even put it on the end of a paper towel and put your finger, you know, on the inside of that paper towel and very lightly rub a little bit of that along the edges here. Like you can do it with a brush and kind of scrub it. You're not going to put a lot of paint, just a little bit, because those transparent colors will work kind of like a stain, and they will come in and kind of affect what's on there. You could use a little bit of Indian yellow mixed with it if you wanted to warm it up a little bit, a tiny bit of white if you wanted to make it a little bit pinker. But know that once you add the white, those transparent colors are innately becoming more opaque, right? Less transparent, and they will cool down. So if you want the warmth, then you're probably not going to want to use the white. That makes sense a little bit there?
Yep.
Nice clouds, nice. I mean, your clouds feel like clouds, right? They got nice soft edges, and I love how they dissipate. Like you really don't even know where they begin and where they end on some of them. You're really off to a good place, or a good start. So I wouldn't give up on this by any stretch, and I'm not even hinting that you have. But this is a good start. I would probably darken your ground a little bit, or possibly cool it down, probably cooling it down a little bit. If you squint your eyes, the sky is quite a lot lighter in the light blue, yellowy area over here than the ground. Again, squinting my eyes, or if you're lucky enough and have the right kind of stigmatism, just take your glasses off, and it'll blur it. And what we want to do is, I'm going to do share screen. Oh no, I'm on share screen. I'm going to go to Photoshop and I'm going to open that. Let's see if I have that. Second. Why can't it open it? Huh. All right, it's not going to let me grab it for whatever reason. I'm going to do one more quick little trick. I'm just going to grab it from here. Not where I wanted it to go. There it is. So view, fit on screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly desaturate this. I'm going to take it and make it a black and white. Image adjust, desaturate. And this oftentimes will help us to see our values. So you can see now a little color is very confusing, right? Warm colors we almost always want to see as lighter than they are. So in values, in the lights and the darks, you can see that this is a lot lighter than this, even though this grass really appears light because it's next to this dark base of the tree, and all these shadowy sides of the grasses really appear dark compared to that. But this is your lightest area, definitely, is that sky. So if I were breaking this down into simpler values, like I like to start with a simple 3 to 4 value structure. Does that make sense? Do you know what that means at all, Jill?
Yes.
Okay, so I would think in terms of what's my brightest bright, the sky. my darkest dark, of course, the trees, and then some of these upright grasses, right? Not these trees back here because they're much lighter. And then I think of my midtone is these tops of these trees and these grasses. And if we squint our eyes, I'm going to do a quick grab of these grasses, right? Trying to find a big spot. Okay. Copy and paste, and I'm going to move that up there next to these. Oops, move those up if I can. It's still small. Not letting me move it. There we go. I guess I just have to do it the hard way. Look at that. Those grasses, and that's in the light part of those grasses, is even darker. Those trees back there because of so much atmosphere. Let's move it up into the sky.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in detail next week about how we don't see values and colors kind of correctly, I guess is a good way to say it. So I get rid of that. Don't apply. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop.
I think I have a basic problem with how I paint because I have a hard time kind of planning out. I tend to just put layers on and leave what works and come back and correct what's wrong, which ends up working out okay in the end, but it takes me a lot of layers and a lot of time.
Totally. I get you. I do that a lot too. And I'm going to show you every class a little bit about how I try to approach that in a more systematic way. You know, I always like to say that painting's very hard. So anything we can do to make it a little easier will add to our enjoyment, right? Nobody likes all the suffering that comes with it. So I will try to present a couple ways that I make where how I approach the painting to a little more systematic. And I'll talk about that in today's lesson. But what you're going to see is what I've even done already is I printed up 3 different black and whites of the image I plan to paint today. Do you have an iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's an app called the Notanizer.
I have it.
Okay, we're going to use that, Jill. That's Michelle's challenge is using different grip and changing the pressure on our paintbrush. Meredith is going to use white gouache, and Jill, you are going to look at the Notanizer and realize how we use that to make the plan of our painting. Okay.
Good
And I'll
deal.
show you how I did that today in today's class and when I'm doing my demo. Okay, so I won't talk too much more about this. I think you're off to a great start. Really, it's nice. It's a nice. I don't want to say simple because you got all these transitions and subtle areas, but it's nice big shapes and everything else. I think you're off to a good spot, a good start. And yeah, once this dries a little bit, probably it looks like it's already fairly dry in this photo. I think you're going to be. I bet you 30, 40 minutes more on this painting, and you're going to be off to a good spot. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Don't know if Deb's back. Where did we go? What happened? Deb added her picture. Oh, okay. Oh, was that? For half a second, something popped up. There it is. Okay, Deb. All right. Well, Deb is doing an example of what I was just talking about, Jill. And Deb was with me in my previous class. That was a tonalism class. And so one of the reasons, and that was the first time I'd ever taught a tonalism based class. But the cool thing about it is it really works with how I like to approach my painting, the buildup of it. And it's a lot about lights and darks, right, Deb? Like you've got color in here, but it's a lot about the lights and the darks. It's, you know, a lot of mapping. And Deb is a tonalist. So we're going to probably see, even though this is a color class, we're probably going to see more tonalist colorscapes from Deb, which is great. Deb, you can go ahead and take yourself off mute if you want. And Jill, you can stay off mute because
Okay.
we're talking kind of about your process here. All right. I'm going to But yeah, so you see that it's got color. She's using a earthy color as well as her white and some kind of a dark. I don't know if it's the French ultramarine or a black that she's mixing to make it darker, but it's getting the design
It's
elements.
ultramarine. Well, no, Michael, let me just start over. I didn't use black because I'm just trying to use the limited palette, your primary palette that we're using. So I
Whoa,
did,
that was
you know,
this?
no, it's just ultramarine blue, but yeah, so
So you made that brown using the limited palette?
yeah, I did. I used the cad yellow, cad red, made an orange, and then I mixed that with the ultramarine blue.
Beautiful. That is a
Well,
nice.
listen, I don't, I'm sounding like I know what I'm talking about, y'all, but I haven't painted with oils in so long. It was just like, I mean, really, I'm starting over. And I think that I want to do Richard Schmid's idea where you do your color studies because anyway, I'm digressing, but Michael, I did put your photo reference, it's from your photo. I did post it. So I don't know, it may not have arrived yet. It's from your photo reference in the tonalism class. It would have been posted after this one. So it may not have arrived.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it there, but
Yeah.
anyway,
So
this goes very much into what I was just talking to Jill about kind of getting the design and the big values established. And oftentimes I will do it, in earthy colors or whatever colors I want. And a lot of times I will do my values, big things, even in the colors that are going to relate. Like if this was green, I might just have darker green, lighter blue. I do it all sorts of different ways. But this is just kind of a mapping technique that I like to use. It can be messy, right? Because especially if you don't have a lot of time to do your painting, you're painting on top of a wet sketch.
well, and see, I didn't realize, I mean, you don't really care if we do it a la prima or not, right? Because I mean, I might have misunderstood, but I didn't think it mattered to you how we laid down, just so long as we use the primary palette. So
right. Nope, I don't care at all. Do
okay.
whatever, and
Well,
that's your own personal style.
Obviously that's not very many colors that I mixed because I swear, y'all, it's just like starting over for me. It's been that long and it's not like getting back up on the bike. So I did get out my Blue Doesn't Make Yellow book. So
There you go. Good for you.
that's a great book.
Yeah, it really is.
You mentioned it. Did everybody get that by Michael Wilcox?
It really messes with your brain.
It's a very good, and it's sort of what you're teaching in a way, isn't it? I mean, you're kind of using the basic colors, and
What's the name of that book?
it's called Blue and Yellow Don't Make Green by
Oh, right,
Michael
I've heard of that.
Wilcox. And it's an excellent book. And Michael mentioned it last week. And so I'm so glad you did, Michael, because I had to get it back out.
Oh, good.
But this photo reference, I utilized it. I am in the process of utilizing it for a pastel as well, because I've always wanted to do that, do a pastel and an oil, side by side and kind of approach them differently and that kind of thing. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. And so I could post the pastel, but this isn't the pastel class. But anyway, so
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a great start. Since it's mostly about design and values at this point, right?
yes,
Um,
yes.
And if you want, you can leave it there. I don't mind that you
Oh.
made a very tonal painting. I really don't mind. I don't want to, if you want to just keep moving forward, but if you'd like to
It's
go
gonna
back.
be tonal.
What's
I'll
that?
probably make it tonal, not stopping here by any means, but just continuing in stages to add more color.
Okey doke. So your creek as it goes back here,
Yeah, it shouldn't be curving so much.
and
Oh,
it appears like it kind of runs off the edge of the earth a little bit.
yeah, it does,
and
doesn't it appear that?
It
And
doesn't.
I kind of want it to go into the mist. I wish we could look at your photo because your photo reference really helped on that. I don't have it. You kind of have this foggy mist kind of stuff going on in your photo reference.
Okay.
I wish it would post up. I don't know where it is, but you don't remember this one that you posted in the tonalism class?
I mean, I don't for sure know.
Okay.
That's tough.
Because what it does on your photo reference is it just kind of goes off into this hazy kind of, I like it. That's one of the things I really liked about the photo reference. Obviously, I haven't gotten there with this.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think, and I do know which one you're talking about. Like you added the tree on the left. That's not in this.
Yeah, I worked out the composition a little differently.
Right. And these trees are actually, there's a field in between these trees and these trees. All I'm going to do is just do a quick grab of a little bit darker color. And I'm just going to show you if we just simply just take and bring something like that, the water should begin to lay down. So it doesn't, right now, doesn't it feel like you're kind of slowly going up a hill?
Oh yeah, for sure it wasn't. No.
So I would suggest that you take care of that a little bit first.
I wish my photo reference would come up because what I really want to do is more like your photo.
Right, and you'll be able to get that fog and atmosphere in and everything else. But you see how even just those little bit of line changes adds a little bit more sense of perspective and depth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And again, I'm just kind of messing with this until I see it, till I see that water laid down.
Another question that came up for me on this was obviously it's almost 50-50, but it isn't as far as the horizon line. So I'm trying to be more mindful of not making it go up any higher.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me too much. I don't think, I mean, this is a lot of kind of
Okay.
space up front, but I see it looks like you're going to put kind of a trail maybe going in here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So just to get you into the painting. And so then Michael, my question besides the horizon line doesn't really bother you. Okay. Then the other thing was, the center of the painting, the rule of you want to kind of avoid this very, very center of a painting. And so there you go. Thanks. So that goes up and down that line, correct? Because that was sort of something I was trying to think about. So I don't want to end either of my banks in the dead middle either, right? Regardless of the vertical, right?
And you haven't, I don't think, but yeah, it's
close, but it isn't. I don't think I did it, but
right.
I guess that was really kind of I don't want to do that. I don't think, right? Don't you want to?
Generally no, like,
okay.
Yeah, you don't. So this becomes, in my opinion, your focal point is over here.
Yes, correct.
Leading us up, and this is kind of our most interesting shapes all around each other. And it's our biggest kind of value jumps is these darks against these lighter lights.
Yes.
So that kind of becomes the focal point. So I mean, that all works. And I don't know if maybe we took this creek up, like change the angle there, open up this water a little bit. Lots of different ideas. But yeah.
See, I haven't really done much on the water, so I definitely will look at the angle there, but
right. And if you pretend this is the water and come back in and use
back in like you were explaining about the tree.
Yeah, and you can make those into more like tall grasses where you can see some of the water behind them.
And your painting, your photo, I mean, has the reeds and stuff. I just used yours for inspiration. But Michael, like that brings me to the point that in the tonalism class, you've posted some wonderful photo references, and you said that you gave us permission to use them and to sell them if we liked our end product. Are you still okay with that?
Yeah, I only ask for 90% of profits, so it's pretty.
Now, that doesn't sound like very much money, Michael.
It might not be. You got to raise your prices.
Well, if you don't mind.
You are
because-
welcome. I just ask that people on the back write, inspired by, or a photo from Michael Orwick or whatever
Photo
else. And that's
matter.
not even that I care that much, truly. That's just
Courtesy.
what we're supposed to do, kind of.
Yes.
That's the nice thing to do. And then if you guys find references online that aren't like copyright free, like this one here is in that free paintings from my photos website. And I should go back and find out who this is. I didn't even ask. If I knew who the photographer was, I would write on the back "inspired by," and nobody cares. I've never had anybody go, "Oh, you didn't take the original photo," and I'll change it. I'll completely make this my own. As beautiful as these sun rays are, I find them to be kind of cheesy if they're not done right. Different things like that. I'll change this. I'm going to use this as a jump off point. And literally that was my laziness a little bit, or the fact that I've been so busy. My wife's birthday yesterday, so we had a full day. I just didn't look too hard for a better reference, but this will do what I wanted. I wanted lights and darks, kind of a side lit view. So I have shadows and light sides. And that's my main goal for my reference for this week. Great. All right, let's go back.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Because I'm just like, I feel like I am a very, very beginner. I got a lot of work ahead of me mixing all these primary colors. I've utilized too many out of the tube colors, to mix up my ideas. So it's good. It's real good.
I'm thrilled that you mix those browns. Those are.
Yeah.
I
didn't use burnt sienna or anything.
bye.
It would have been a lot faster.
Fantastic. Stacy and Kathleen and everybody else, I feel like we've already gone through our first hour and I've got a lot to show you. Are you guys okay if oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, Jill.
Thank you.
That's
Still,
yours?
yeah, still,
That's legit. That is beautiful.
thank you. The bottom part I know needs to be darker and the water needs more work, but it's a start.
I don't know, because not having it dark, my eye doesn't go to it. And because we don't really care if our eye goes there very much, you know what I mean? This is kind of where we want our eye, and up here. Yeah, this is a painting I took, or a photo I took of Cannon Beach, I believe. And I've painted this scene a couple times. It's just, yeah, oh, here's the reference. Yeah, I painted it a little more glowy and stuff like that, but I love this moodiness and gray, beautiful grays. Nice job. Again, I don't want to, I'm kind of feel like we're out of time because I need to take a little break, get some more coffee, and get us over to doing the other things. So gosh, Laura, I want to talk about your painting and just what you've done here. Actually, let's do that before we take a break, just because this is gorgeous. Whatever is going on here. Laura, are you there, Laura?
I am here.
Do you mind, you guys? I'm going to do this, and I'm not picking favorites, except for this is really interesting and something I'm curious about since I've seen you post it. So let's talk about Laura's, and then I will really try to go back and either write something a little more in depth or make sure I get to you on next week. But I'm glad I got to talk to some of the newer students and everything else. And good work, everybody. Lots of beautiful stuff going on. So I'm excited to go. Please, you guys, go and give feedback to each other. Give praise, give feedback, whatever it is. Let's make this community, we got 6 weeks of being stuck together, or 5 weeks after this. And let's talk and communicate and everything else on there. First, I got to go here, Laura. What do we got going on?
That is so
What?
cool.
So cool.
I'm glad to see it makes a better impression on you guys than it did on me. And I think it's because looking at the the actual little oil painting with the the various different glossinesses, like the darks were really matte, and some of the clouds had these big glossy splotches in them. It just looked so ugly, but
I love it. I mean, this picture, this scene on the left is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you could almost print that big and put that on a wall as an abstract piece of work. It's just really nice. And I love these subtle transitions, these grays and different things that we might not instinctually see when we look at this photo, right?
oh, I see. So you were asking about the color map thing.
Yeah.
What was going on here? Yeah.
So tell me, is this something you've done before? Something that you use?
Actually, you were the one that kind of demonstrated with Photoshop picking colors out, and then I was experimenting with GIMP and found that they actually have a way to, it's like posterizing, but it actually makes a grid of your colors as well. So it reduces the colors in your image, and it prints this grid out, which is not sorted in any useful way. So with cut and paste, I just put together, on the left-hand side is sort of the graduation of colors with the little bulging out for the hot spot, because they didn't seem like they were in the continuum. And then the little free-floating blocks on the right side are all divvied up by value. So if you squint, you should be able to see that the bottom middle block is very dark, and the top one is very light, and the other two are in between.
So cool. Oops, I want to open in Photoshop. There's the way I should be doing this. Open with. I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to take your background color and give us a neutral gray.
Yeah, right.
Or even black and white it.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be really interesting to see it in black and white.
Yeah, look at it if
You
you
just see the values a little more. So I just took a neutral gray, not really dark, not really light, kind of right in the middle. And that helps me to see my colors a lot of times. And so, yeah, this is a technique that I've used in painting for a while. I didn't actually remember sharing it with the class, so that's pretty cool. And my daughter really jumped on this. She just thought she became so excited by it. She would do it with circles, where she'd make these little, let's go ahead and select a color. Let's say this key gray. And then she would just make a little circle somewhere near it and do edit fill. So she'd just get these kind of cool colors, and then she'd start stacking those circles. So she'd just pull now over here a little warmer circle. Move that over a little bit. I should just make if I make 2 lines there, then I can have a guideline if I want to make it beautiful. But it's a way to see kind of the colors that are as you're moving up. So anyway, she's got stacks of these saved on our computer. She just became so excited by them, and she would be the one too that'd be like, look at this, looks so dark on here. Now look how light it is when you make it bigger and move it against this. And it's just super fun to see. So anyways, that's kind of a way to do it. And it's a great way too, because you can go, you know what, do these colors match the couch?
exactly.
You know,
I have to admit, I am not too proud to paint a painting that matches my couch.
no, I'm not either. No, absolutely. And you know, because we can get so excited by so many aspects of a painting, the subject, the design, the whatever else.
So one of the things that just kind of jumped out at me while I was painting this, I had, analyzed all the colors, and then I had that sheet that had all the blocks of color, and then I started mixing colors and comparing it to that sheet. And, some were a little easier than others, and then I sketched out on the canvas where things go, and then I started taking colors and I'd put it over on the canvas, and I'd put a little blot there, and I go, that's not right, because they look so different when they're all not next to each other.
Yeah, and there's so many difficulties, really. Like, it's so gorgeous and so beautiful, but truly monitor color is going to be different than paint color. You've always got to remember that these are backlit,
Right.
Colors that they're, oh, that's interesting that it did that. I thought it'd take out the circle, but yeah, it's just so pretty. I love it. And you could definitely, like, oh man, I could do, my house in these colors or in these colors, you know what I mean? Or, it'd be so cool. And you'll see that they have this innate harmony, even though, like, such big jumps, right, in color from blue to here, but there's still a harmony to it. So it's a great way to test some things and to look at things. Very nice.
And the other thing I found was, on the very light colors, it's really hard to mix the right hue, because your eye is just sort of seeing light,
Yes, so light versus bright is really difficult, and that's something we'll talk a little more about next week. And that happens to all of us. Again, for me, I remember my aha moment as clear as day, and I've told this story before, so I apologize if it was recently, but I was plein air painting with a big class in Idaho, and this was a long time ago, and painting with my idol, Scott Christensen, at the time. Well, he's still Scott Christensen, but he was my idol at the time. I just adored his work. And anyways, I wanted him to love me. I wanted to impress him. I wanted to show, and there was a lot of lessons, because I really came away realizing, no, I'm here to learn. I'm not here to, impress this guy. I'm here to challenge myself and try new things. I was so scared to mess up. I was so scared to experiment and go big. I wanted to play it safe in the beginning. Luckily, it was a full 7-day long, all day, every day workshop. So I had time to get over myself and realize that he already had probably enough friends. Didn't need a young guy. Anyways. But the lesson is we were out on a fairly sunny day, and I was painting the edge of his pond, and there were those buttercups, the little yellow flowers, down on the ground, and I got everything else, I felt, pretty well laid in, but I couldn't make the buttercups as bright, as dynamic as I thought they looked on my painting. I just couldn't make them yellow enough, even straight out of the tube. And I was like, how do you make it more yellow, and how do you make it more bright? If I added white to it, it got light, it gets cool, and it's not a cool yellow. So I was just kind of like at a loss of, what do I do? And he, luckily, in the critique, just kind of went, he's like, you're mistaking bright for light. And colors have limitations. You can't, we're not painting light, we're painting with paints. We're not painting with light, we're painting with paints. So he simply took a couple dabs into the green of the grass of purple paint and put it up next to yellow. And that instantaneous contrast of that little bit it wasn't even like bright purple or, it's extreme purple, but he just purpled the grass down, the green grass, a little bit next to the yellow. And all of a sudden you could hear all 20, 30 students in the class go, oh, it was really neat. It was such a lesson. So we'll talk about that next week as well. Simultaneous contrast. All right, well, let's look at your beautiful, almost posterized, nice, big shapes. I like that you didn't fuss over anything. You're really just working on your colors. You're working on your big shapes. Tell us a little bit about this.
I did fuss.
Yeah, that's what I meant. What did I say?
You said you like how I didn't fuss.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But I did use a timer, as you suggested last week, and that really helped. So in an hour, I had the whole thing. I had paint everywhere. It was, you could have called it done, but I felt like let me just fix this or that. So I went for another 40.
That's not fussy.
Well, no, but then I went for another 45 minutes trying to push things right around where the setting sun is. It didn't help at all. So that's my lesson learned. Just stop after the hour,
Sure. Either way, I'm not afraid to take it too far. I think you learn both sides, both ways. So I'm not going to say one way is right or one way is wrong. So it's very nice. It's interesting that you've got so much browns in your clouds, but it works.
And
those,
you don't think those colors were in the reference clouds?
I don't know.
I thought they were, but maybe not. Maybe not.
No, I don't mind it either anyway. I guess I just, if they are in there, I probably wouldn't put them in there as much, just me personally. I just, but I like it. It doesn't bother me. And as far as artisticness goes, again, brown next to gray, or those earthy colors next to grays or next to blues are just beautiful, right? I'm here for the art of it. I'm here for, let's make pretty pictures. Let's make things that make us happy. If you like it, I like it. And so I'm not worried about it.
Well, I like it better after you said that you like the general painting.
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is a view at Vicola Park in Cannon Beach that has since washed away. The cliff collapsed. So no
Oh,
more
wow.
it's not safe. If you do it, you're very precarious out there. And this was we had a funeral / remembrance of a dear friend, gallery owner, out at this near this spot. So this was taken the night of her funeral. We were all out there at the park, and a whole bunch of people came and joined us. So another just good memory for me. So it's always fun. Maybe that's why I share my references with you guys, is because it's an excuse to remember these things. And that's the power of painting and the power of art and the power of photography and power of all this is remembrance. So I apologize to anybody I didn't get to. And it doesn't look like there's too many, just 2 of you, I believe. Oh gosh, so nice. Karen, I don't think you're on here. Karen, are you here? Karen Wild. I know that. I think she's teaching during this time, so just joining us on the video. Just want to let you know, Karen, very pleasing, very pretty, very nice. And who else was
For some reason, oh, there's mine. Okay, you didn't show up.
So yeah, Kathleen, I'm gonna skip yours, but if you want to stay
That's
a little
fine.
bit later again, it seems to be what happens with you and me a lot. This is great. I love your sense of depth and everything else. The one thing very quickly is you've got break, meaning space in between, space in between, space in between. I would let these overlap each other.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just shape floating in there. When you can bond darks or bond lights, meaning bring them together, make them, kind of relate, you are generally off to a good spot. That's an idea stole from Edgar Payne in one of his books, Painting the Landscape Design. But he does that a lot with clouds, where he'll show kind of a very spotty clouds, and he'll kind of bond a couple of so he doesn't just have 100 little clouds floating in the sky. He'll bond them, get rid of some, and it just makes for a much more pleasing. Can you see that if we just kind of had, like, even though they're not the same value, I don't mean to make them all the same, but if you brought this edge down behind here and let this also relate into there, it would just not be so busy. And it's not busy. That's not the right word, but it's broken. Also, careful of your spacing. You have the space in between this tree and this. You have the space between this tree and this, and the space between this tree and this. And what happens, you perfectly fit a tree in between each space.
Okay.
I would also overlap those trees. Maybe I would leave this space, but then bond a little more there. And I do the exact same thing. So I think Kathleen and I have the same brain a lot of the time. We both want to organize nature. We're both English gardeners at heart. We don't know it, but we want to organize our gardens, everything in a row and everything in its place. And let's let our nature be natural. And sometimes it needs our help. So anyways, thank you guys. Let's take a 5-minute break. I need a big glass of water. Maybe
do you want to cycle the video so that we can break it up?
Thank you. Stop share and stop video. All right, guys, see you in 5. And Laura, it is your job to remind me to start the recording again.
Okay.
Thank you. That's your fault for being responsible.